And it's January 23rd, 2024, and this is Spoken World Online, week number 202. And I'm going to continue my ongoing serialization of Lean Times in Lockmar by Fritz Leiber. And the link to the text is in the chat if anybody wants to read the whole story for themselves. So, while Baudres keened and rasped through the long litany against the sighing responses of the crowd and an uncommonly large number of catcalls and boos, the Mauser was very busy indeed, helping prepare the setting and place the characters for a drama of which he did not know more than scraps of the plot. The many shadows were his friends in this. He could slip almost invisibly from one shielding darkness to another, and he had the trays of half the hawkers in Lockmar as a source of stage properties. Among other things, he insisted on personally inspecting the weapons of Quach and Wigan, the short swords and their sheaths, small crossbows, and the quivers of twiny curls that were their ammunition, most wicked-looking short arrows. By the time the long litany had reached its wailing conclusion, the stage was set, though exactly when and where and how the curtain would rise and who would be the audience and who the players remained uncertain. At all events, it was an impressive scene, the long street of gods stretching off toward a colorful torchlit doll's world of distance in either direction, low clouds racing overhead, faint ribbons of mist gliding in from the great salt marsh, the rumble of far distant thunder, bleat and growl of priests of gods other than Isaac, squealing laughter of women and children, leather lunged calling of hawkers and news slaves, odor of incense curling from temples, mingling with the oily aroma of fried foods on hawkers' trays, the reek of smoking torches, and the musk and flower smells of gaudy ladies. Isaac's audience, augmented by the many drawn by the tale of last night's doings of the demon acolyte and the wild predictions of Baudres, blocked the street from curb to curb, leaving only difficult gangway through the roofed porticos to either side. All levels of Lockmarian society were represented. Rags and ermine, bare feet and jeweled sandals, mercenaries' steel and philosophers' wands, faces painted with rare cosmetics and faces powdered only with dust, eyes of hunger, eyes of satiety, eyes of mad belief, and eyes of a skepticism that hid fear. Baudres, panting a little after the long litany, stood on the curb across the street from the low archway of the house where the drunken Fafford slept bound. His shaking hand rested on the cask that, draped now with the garlic bag, was both Isaac's coffer and altar, crowded so close as to leave him almost no striding space were the inner circles of the congregation, devotees sitting cross-legged, crouched on knees, or squatting on hams. The Mauser had stationed Wigan and Quach by an overset fishmonger's cart in the center of the street. They passed back and forth the stone bottle Quach had snared, doubtless in part to make their odorous post more bearable, though every time the Mauser noted their bibbing, he had a return of the feeling of occult wrongness. Flug had picked for his post aside of the low archway in front of Fafford's house, to call it that. He kept Gilly beside him while the Mauser crouched nearby after his preparations were complete. Pulg's jeweled mask was hardly exceptional in the setting. Several women were visited, and a few of the other men, colorful blank spots in the sea of faces. It was certainly not a calm sea. Not a few of the audience seemed greatly annoyed at the absence of the giant acolyte and had been responsible for the boos and catcalls during the litany, while even the regulars missed the acolyte's lute and his sweet tenor tale telling and were exchanging anxious questions and speculations. All it took was someone to shout, "Where's the acolyte?" And in a few moments, half the audience was chanting, "We want the acolyte. We want the acolyte." Baudry silenced them by looking earnestly up the street with shaded eyes, pretending he saw one coming, and then suddenly pointing dramatically in that direction, as if to signal the approach of the man for whom they were calling, while the crowd craned their necks and shoved about, trying to see what Baudris was pretending to, and incidentally left off chanting. The ancient priest launched into his sermon. To be continued. Please come back and listen to some more. Thank you.